All right, welcome to Super Mega Riftbound Podcast again for yet another week. It's like it's a weekly thing. I don't know, it keeps recurring. This is the 16th one, which means we've had 15 prior successful episodes. And in this one, we're going to see a band discussion. That one will get heated, I'm sure. We're going to go through some deck profiles for some new legends we're excited for, and we're going to see the rest of packages for these legends that we are super excited about for Unleashed Set 3. See you next.
Hello, everyone, and like Gail said, welcome back to episode 16 of Super Mega Riftbound. Gail, I kind of want to correct you on your intro. We've actually done 16 prior because we had an episode 0.
Wow.
Oh,
whatever.
Yep. Lock in the episode 0. Like any good D&D campaign, we had to have
we had to have the session 0, but we have a lot to talk about today. Obviously, impending bans. So we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what we want banned, what we want gone. Like Gail said as well, we're going to talk about some deck lists. Eli's brought 2, Gail's brought 1, and then I am going to lead us through at the very end 6 legend packages that we didn't have the full ones of yet to round out the episode. But last week in Riftbound, Gail, I'll start with you. How was your last week in Riftbound, sir?
Yeah, mostly fine. It's pretty bit of a lull for competition because without knowing bans, like prep for Atlantis kind of on hold. So most of what we're doing is just sort of exploring the new set and trying to figure out what's going on with it. Which has been pretty exciting. My love for LeBlanc is dwindling as the day goes by. The purple in me just can't stand blue-yellow, I think. I think it was
Eli's just like cringing on the inside right now.
Oh, I'm not cringing. I know the problems with blue-yellow. Don't worry. I've played the Victor in Riftbound so far to know just how damaging that color combination can be in some aspects.
Nightingale, who was the best of Ari, he is playing a purple deck now, and he was talking about it. He's like, wow, this is a whole new world. I have options. I can play the game. And I'm like, yes, welcome.
Crazy. Yeah, my last week in Riftbound was pretty good. I went to my first local in a couple of weeks. We got over norovirus in my household, so that was great. Luckily, all of us are feeling better now, and so I got out to a local last night at the time of recording. Had a great time. Went 2-1, traded a bunch of cards, talked about bans and all the fun Riftbound things that are happening. I'm glad to see we're still getting good Nexus Night turnouts. We also, I believe, only had 1 Draven in the entire room of like 18 to 20 people. So that was nice. It's good to see people kind of branching out as this meta is getting a bit more stale in people's minds, trying out some new things. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think what we had, the one Draven we had was a mid-range Draven, if I'm not mistaken. So it wasn't even a miracle. And I think that also has something to do with the fact that obviously there are impending bans, more or less. Obviously nothing official, but yeah, my last week in Riftbound was also pretty good. Also went to the same locals as Eli last night. Did not do great. I went 0-2, and I was sitting there with 30 minutes left in the round, and I'm just like, I have no energy to play another round, so I got up and left. Because
Austin was bragging about sending you home.
Was he really?
Yeah.
It's okay. I was good though. I enjoyed being there. I haven't seen Eli actually in a few weeks, so it was nice to see him playing a lot of Lilia. Just kind of playing set 3, waiting to see what happens with bans as well, just to see how I want to kind of start testing for events later in the set. I'm gonna try to get some skirmishes once those are all through and said. But yeah, overall very good last week in Riftbound. Been really cool to see all these reveals. But we are here to initially talk about bans. I think obviously the big one is called Shot. I definitely want to hear your guys' opinions. Is that going home? Is that not going home? What do we think? We'll start there.
Well, if it doesn't go home, there's a lot of people that will be.
Yep.
And that's a big problem.
That's been a sentiment. I think that's been reflected a lot.
Yeah,
it certainly has.
Because this engine doesn't change throughout any of the purple decks. If you have this engine, you'll run this engine. Every purple deck for the end of time will run this engine, just because it's so potent. So even if it's not Miracle Draven that it looks like, it could look like Brain Here Recursion with Heedless Resurrection next set, and that's using the same cards, doing even more and more degen
annoying shit
cycles.
Yep.
So no, I mean it has to go. It's going to go. There's no doubt in my mind that Called Shot stays in the game. 0.
Like I said this earlier, or I said this yesterday in like a Discord chat. if Called Shot doesn't go, it is one of the biggest TCG blunders of like the past 6 years since 2020. And I'm like very honestly saying that as someone who's like gone through like multiple games in the past 6 years. I'm like confident in saying that like if that's not banned, that's like a huge mistake.
This actually goes back all the way to 1985, Teddy, when Magic the Gathering was released onto the world. Consistency engines in card games are always going to be problems, always. Especially when you are as consistently seeing your entire deck as you are with Called Shot.
Of one.
Well, hold on.
By the way.
When I meant blunder, I meant if they don't ban it, like that decision.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying it's a problem. I would say not a 6-year blunder. I would say it's a blunder in all of card games.
That's
like
true.
Any card game that had this kind of consistency engine would be remiss to not remove a piece from it.
I mean, we saw Hiram. Remember when Hiram was banned?
Hiram just got banned today
in Infinity.
In Infinity for Disney Lorcana, and Hiram is infinitely weaker than Called Shot as a card.
Do you have any idea what we're talking about right now?
No,
but I smile.
There you go.
Hiram basically says when you play him or when he quests, which is like their point system in Lorcana, you can pop an item and you draw 2.
He's a 4 drop though.
Yeah.
Like he's an actual like interactable creature.
Yeah.
So I think overall just Called Shot in general is definitely the biggest consistency hit to this engine, which is what needs to happen to make the engine not as playable. And you can still have good consistency cards. Like I don't think they should hit Stack Deck. I think that card is totally fine. And I think the consistency in colors is a good thing. But in a set 2 of a card game, seeing every card in your deck of one-ofs potentially multiple times with being able to recycle with Vi in the way that she interacts with how she recycles cards, it's just way too much. And I think Jim Davis, someone who's a Magic the Gathering pro and also advised on the game with Riot, runs a Riftbound channel called Arcane Academy, made a video on this topic. And he really hit it home for me, where he just said, Called Shot needs to go. There's actually not really an argument for Called Shot to stay in the game. And the other hit that needs to happen is a rules change to Draven. And I think I agree with both of those takes. So we could move on to that one, but that would be the one I posit. I think that the combat rules need to change.
I want to touch on one part of the Miracle package that I think can go that's not just Called Shot. I actually think Vi Destructive is a toxic mechanic for the game. I think this at any point, this ability to choose your next draw, if we can ever get the amount of draw required, I think this card is just too good for that.
I agree.
Adding an element to the game that no one else can play at if they don't have this card.
I would argue we never should have the draw to be able to make Vi viable like that in the first place. But I think that is completely fair, and it would be a good premeditative ban.
I doubt it'll happen. I don't think this will happen, but I think it's a fair hit.
No, I also think that would be a fair hit. And you can't even currently there's no conversation to even put forth a limited or semi-limited list like exists in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Called Shot just would make you see every one of those cards anyway. So you just have to ban Called Shot. And then, like I said, I think you just have to make a rules change to Draven, and I think the format's in a much healthier place.
I think the one more thing, I also, if this was a 60 card deck, I don't think Called Shot would be obviously
it would still be broken in a 60 card deck.
It would still be broken.
Yeah.
But I think it seems overly broken because the 40 cards is just that. I think is what really does it for me.
It's not even 40 cards. It's 39 cards in the main deck, right?
True,
because you have the 40th as the chosen champion. So even in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, where it has a true 40 card lower limit, Called Shot would be banned on site immediately, no questions asked. And that game obviously doesn't have mana, so that interacts a little bit differently.
Well, Called Shot
doesn't really cost mana or have anything like that. So I think it's a fair comparison to say that Called Shot across card gaming in general is a problem card and would be a problem in any game it was printed into.
Any free thing is just so stupid.
It's always so good.
Yeah, Call to Glory.
Yeah, gosh.
Okay, well, get that out of here. But I think the first thing branching off this I want to talk about is Ezreal getting banned, because at this point I've seen people talk about it. I don't think they're going to go after epics yet. I don't think that's something that they're going to do. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts.
I don't think epic matters. I don't know if rarity is necessarily
rarity is a discussion, at least in the room, because
small.
If people have spent X amount of money on cards, there's going to be more uproar about banning a more expensive card. So oftentimes they'll look for a card that can hit whatever's happening without being the most expensive on the secondary market. That is considered in some card games, is not considered in some card games. Personally, I err on the side of should not be considered, because people are buying this card knowing that it's strong, right? So it should be a hittable piece. I don't think Ezreal should get banned. No, I think Ezreal is fine. I think that Ezreal itself is okay. Ezreal as a chosen champion is fine, because that Ezreal deck is not really... It's a very strong deck, but it's not really to the level of Miracle. Like, you can combat that Ezreal deck no problem, especially if we get rid of Cold Shot. So I don't really see a world where I would ban the regular Ezreal, because you are like hard paying 3 and a power for it. Doesn't feel too bad to me.
And for what it's worth, I think it's fine if Ezreal is the Miracle deck. Like, if there is one deck in the format that is doing that, I think it's totally okay. And I think if Ezreal is that deck, I think that's fine. The problem is when it starts reaching into every purple deck in everything forever going forward. But yeah.
Ezreal being that deck is better than a red deck being that deck, because they don't have access to battering ram, right? So having the battering ram on top of the Rasa is just so much pressure. That's just way too
much. For sure.
Speaking of Rasa, we'll go to the next two cards I want to bring up before we just kind of open the floor. Rasa and Bryn here. I think are the other two cards that I've been seeing talked about a lot. Thoughts on those getting banned?
I think Rasa's okay. I don't think that one's necessarily creating super toxic patterns. I think it can, if the game is played in a normal manner, Rasa's fine. Bryn here creates pretty toxic situations, because this game is very focused on when you're supposed to play your runes. Like, this is a big part of the game, and just turning off half of that is really limiting a lot of how the game can be played and how the game like probably should be played in a healthy way. Like, we should be sharing turns. You know, this is
the game is built for interaction.
Yeah,
like the game is built for interaction.
Yeah, so I think Bryn here can be on that. I think it's fine if it stays. I don't really think it's a huge, massive problem, but I would find Bryn here more likely to be on a list than like Rasa. I think Rasa's okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. I think Rasa as a card is a beneficiary of the broken combo, not the reason for that broken combo existing. So you take out the reason for it existing, and then Rasa's a totally fine card.
Because we saw Rasa be played in we also set 1, and no one had an issue with it. So
well, yeah, exactly, because you're not rushing cards into your yard. That's the issue, is when you could consistently hit 10 cards in yard turn 2, turn 3. Like, that's
just,
way too much. Way too much. But I think Rasa's totally fine. I think Brynir should be a ban, but I think that Brynir is a ban that you should ban for future proofing the game, because everything that you release, like we saw this set with the Rengar signature spell and Heedless Resurrection, everyone's first immediate thought is going to be, okay, how do I lock my opponent out? That is everyone's first thought, because Brynir's effect is just so absurdly powerful that you always are like, man, I really want to do this every time. That is a problem, because that is absolutely going to be a toxic play pattern if it ever exists at an actual level that is consistent, right? So I would remove Brynir just based off of that. I also come from Yu-Gi-Oh! And one of Yu-Gi-Oh's biggest problems as a game is that they printed too many good floodgates throughout the game's history. And they don't have format rotation, so every floodgate that gets printed ever just exists in the game, and you have to essentially like ban or limit them, or build decks that don't get affected by those floodgates that already exist in the game. So floodgate type effects that just completely shut things down, I have never been a fan of.
Like Vex? Apathetic?
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later.
I have a lot of opinions on that card existing and what it is doing. But yeah, so I think Brynir completely fine ban for just the future proofing of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think definitely looking and just like, because like you said with Rengar and everything, like we're just gonna see, is this card actually going to be worth it in decks? And everyone's gonna say yes, because there's so many ways to cheat it out. Can only respond. You can like, I don't even know. It's just dumb in my opinion. I think Brynir's a dumb card. I think it obviously has a space in a game, but I think the mechanic obviously could have, if it came later Like if it came like set 6, I'd be okay with it, possibly. I don't know. But
if Miracle exists with Brynir, like in its current form, if Miracle exists with Brynir next set and Heedless Resurrection,
no, it's broken.
Just the game is
just
broken.
Yes.
No, the game is wide.
You cannot have that.
100%.
No, I agree, and I think that's
Annie,
what
I'm gonna do with Annie all the time.
Right, like any red purple deck, it doesn't matter which one it is. Like you can do it, and that it's just too much.
Yeah. Especially with that battlefield, that gives me a beginning trigger. It's just no.
My just interesting thought is how long, if like Brynir doesn't get banned, for example, how long are they gonna wait until like it continually gets better and better till they ban it? Like, because I don't know, like from you guys, like
probably a top 8 match getting decided on stream by double Brynir.
Probably. So I think that's just like my biggest thought behind this is like we're gonna see stuff banned if there's stuff like if college shot's gone more like 95% sure. That maybe 99 if that 1% comes true. Well, whoop-de-doo. But then again, like if Bryn here doesn't get banned, like how long? Like you said, like we just have to see because other games I know like want to give if they don't ban something, they'll give a reason as to why they don't ban it, and they want to see that be proved. And if it's proven wrong, yes, they'll do it. But I felt like games sometimes will just wait a while before they ban something because they want to let things breathe after a ban.
Yeah.
So like that's my biggest worry behind it all.
It's definitely true, and like I think they are banning Cult Shot. So if they hold off on banning Brynir until it actually becomes a problem, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just like, why not do it now? Because we know it's going to be a problem at some point. Like it's one of those cards that it's just going to be. And there's other cards in the game that are also similar, like will be very powerful in the future. A lot of them, in fact, but none of those cards are currently even viable in like a majority of decks. Brynir is already viable in sideboards and is just going to become more prevalent as sets go on. So I think you can just axe that one and you're fine.
Yeah.
And I think there's a large card that I think should be brought up more in these conversations that is very forgotten. And that is Obelisk of Power.
I love that card.
I think this card is single-handedly warping the game to a negative, like a massively negative degree. Basically, every deck in the format runs Obelisk. We, as like Riftbound players, have all like handshook together and says, okay, you'll present the Obelisk this time, I'll present it this time, and we never have to play 2-drops, either one of us ever.
Yep.
And this card has just single-handedly ruined the curve of the game. It's what makes 3 and 4 chosen champions so strong. They'd still be strong regardless, but now they're like allowing you to skip points of deck building to an unhealthy degree. We can entirely skip turn 1 plays because we just don't have to deal with them ever because we just are always on 3 or 4 mana. So I think this card is just horrible to have in the game. I think it's affecting sideboards too. There's very interesting ways to sideboard in this game where you're sideboarding for curve, and we just don't get that effect anymore because you are playing rock, paper, scissors on if your opponent's bringing out the Obelisk on the game. Like Aurelia mirrors for standard Aurelia are decided on like who is flipping the Obelisk when. Generally, going game 1 is fine, but if you want to trip up your opponent, you can do it whenever, and now you're just playing this rock, paper, scissors game. Whoever holds it longer has more power, because if they put it first, then you know when you're putting it down. So it's just this awful game that I am so tired of playing.
Yep.
I'm so tired of playing this game of Obelisk, and I think it just needs to go because it'll just be a problem forever.
Fun fact, that rock, paper, scissors also existed in set 1 with the Aurora versus Victor matchup.
Yeah.
Where you rock, paper, scissors because you didn't want to put your Obelisk out when they put their Obelisk out.
Yeah,
because then Aurora scaled faster. Yeah. So it was also rock, paper, scissors then. But yeah, I agree. Obelisk could go for sure. It's a battlefield that is just, I've been saying this since set 1. I've been playing it in all my deck lists. It's just an insane battlefield. Like it provides you something that I don't think the battlefields really should, which is just a full advantage in deck building. Yeah. So I'm pretty in agreement with that one, Gale. And I agree that people don't really bring it up as much. Like we see for battlefield discussions, everyone's like, ban Reaver's Row. Ban Reaver's Row, get it out of here. Like, and to be fair, Reaver's Row is incredibly, incredibly strong in the decks that it is strong in. And I would not be upset to see a Reaver's Row ban, but I do think that Obelisk of Power is a bigger problem.
Of all the battlefields in the game, I think Obelisk is like, well, where's my camera? It's like way higher of a problem where like Reaver's Row is here. Reaver's Row is a problem, but like it's one that I can live with. I don't think Reaver's Row is crazy. I don't think Reaver's Row needs to be banned. It creates some toxic patterns, sure, but those toxic patterns are like more complicated game states, which is an interesting texture to have in the game. As you overly complicate game states, that can be interesting in a way. So I think Reaver's Row is fine. The way it interacts with like Draven is the cringe part, really. The way it interacted with Kaisa was like okay. That's within the normal realms of what a battlefield should be providing a legend. So like I don't have any problem with Reaver's Row, especially and Dreaming Tree. I don't have a problem with that one either, really. I think these are fine battlefields. They give a distinct advantage. Trifarian War Camp. I would love to ban that one. I hate that one. Burn it to the sun. That's the worst battlefield in the entire game. So
I love War Camp. Give it to me.
War Camp is so good.
But that's in the same realm with these three. Like Reaver's Row, Dreaming Tree, Trifarian War Camp are all in this.
They serve a purpose that is tailored to a specific deck, and yes, they are incredibly strong, but they work. And I think that we go back to what the combat thing was. If you fix the combat or like the combat rules that changed, Reaver's Row probably gets knocked down a little bit.
Yeah, it becomes worse for sure.
So Irelia plays it over Draven. Legitimately.
Yes. And so I think I agree. I would not. I mean, I've played Obelisk in all my decks too. It's just too good. But then again, I think some of these like good 2-drops are just being left out, and they're like, okay, what's the best 2-drop? What's the best 4-drop or whatever you want? Because if you get a double Obelisk game that's a 4-drop and a 5-drop, like that's more or less a good amount of both chosen champions coming down on turn 1, depending on what deck you're playing. Which
I
is
had
like
someone hard cast a battering ram on me turn 1 on a double.
That's
Obelisk
funny.
Game.
That's
it was really funny.
Like, yeah, it's just kind of crazy, and I agree. It's not talked about, but I agree that I would not mind seeing it go. I think being able to actually like deck build to use cards that are supposed to be out there on 2 is I would say pretty good for the game. But is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up? Any other cards?
Just that rules change. I think that rules change needs to happen for Draven.
I want to do a counter to the Draven rules change.
Oh, he's playing Defy.
Draven Vanquisher.
I've heard this opinion.
Yes,
I have heard this opinion.
Just ban the chosen champion. Don't change the way combat is. Combat's fine. We don't need to be changing core system rules all the time. It gets already overwhelmed on the rules side of things. The game is starting to get to a position where it's understandable. I don't think we need to be changing the rules. Just ban this chosen champion.
So I hear you, and I agree that probably would be a current solution. But I think for readability of the game and like common sense gameplay, this rule should not have been the way it is in the first place, because it is not a combat. When I think combat in my brain, right, as a new player coming into a game, I think, all right, I'm going to fight my opponent. Like we're hitting swords, we're battling.
Yeah.
That's not happening. If anything, it's like a no contest or a retreat.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It just doesn't feel like a combat. And for that reason, I'm very much on the side of just make the rules change, because if you're changing something from a difficult thing like reflexive triggers, right, on a Cathian Rain and Falling Star, and you're changing it to something that is more digestible, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's just a benefit for the future of the game. So like it happens that would also help our Draven problem right now, but irregardless of Draven, I think this probably should have been how the rule was in the first place in the game. So that's why I'm more on the side of I would really like the rule to change, because I think it's just going to be good for the length of the game, even after we're past this Draven problem.
I also think it's good for teaching the game, because one, you can obviously explain how combat works when you're sitting down with someone, but like already I saw this tweet earlier that said, if you're wanting to learn Riftbound, go find an experienced player. Go talk to an experienced player that's played the game for a few sets. In reality, you can obviously find YouTube videos that explain everything, but I would really love, like, obviously we don't want rules changes, but this, I believe, would be a great way to make learning the game easier, because it's a very complex game. Like, we are 2 sets in, and I've seen people not pick it up because of just how complex it is already. Like, it is a very hard game. You can get, like, obviously the basics of moving, and if you've played other TCGs before, it's comprehensible. But like then when you start getting down to the nitty gritty, then it gets kind of like, whoa, these everything's getting tangled.
Yeah. It's a card game player's card game.
Oh, it is.
For sure. which is something that's really interesting to me because that is kind of the adverse of what League of Legends is. Where it's like League of Legends is like everybody's first MOBA that they will play. And they're going to get demolished, run into the ground, absolutely destroyed before eventually like slowly muscle memory and learning how to play the game.
Yeah.
That has always been how League is. That is how Riftbound is. But I don't think that it should be. Focusing on the new player experience has never really been Riot's forte. And I think that that is something that they really need to hone in on, not only for Riftbound, but just for their like genre of games that they do in general, like the MMO. Yeah. You need to be able to appeal to people who have never played World of Warcraft, right? And this is a symptom because Riot often just perfects concepts for their games. They don't like create the original concept the majority of the time. They take another concept and they do really, really well in that concept in that space. Yeah. But that does create a burden of you expecting your players to have played similar games to the one that you have created. And so that's great for people like me and other people that have been playing TCGs for like 16, 20 years at this point. But for people who are just stepping into the space, it's hard. It's very difficult.
I mean, Gale picked it up right away, so.
Well, I also played it like religiously when it came out, and I've been inundated in the Riftbound logic of its game before anything else. So like, I don't know if I would use, oh well, Gale did it, so I can do it too, as like, especially now that we're in set 3 where we're doing like much crazier things. Like I've been able to build up the knowledge base from trial meta and just keep layering continually. Now if I try to explain people the stacking of like Heedless Resurrection and Abandoned Halls, which I ran into a while ago, it just gets crazy. I played like Heedless Resurrection into a Tide Turner. Who gets the plus is it's a mess.
There are constant questions at locals every single time I sit down at a table to play somebody. There's always like somebody in the room has a question that they just ask everyone around them, like, oh, how does this interact? How does this work? And it's like a community effort to like get to the right answer for people. It's pretty difficult. I'm in agreement though that new player experience definitely needs to be looked at. But that wasn't even what we were talking about. Right now. We got a little bit off topic. We've been on this segment for a while, so we're going to move on to the next one. But I think
which is really the epithet quiz.
Oh, epithet.
Epithet quiz.
Yeah, epithet. We're going to be doing some set 3 ones this time, so I hope you guys have been paying attention.
Okay. Is one Lilia? Because I have the Lilia deck pulled up.
No. Anyway, we have for our easy one, easy level, Indefatigable.
Oh, Galio.
Yeah, there you go, Galio. This one was memed so hard because of its just unpronounceable, unlookable nature of it.
I saw someone do a spelling bee style video where they like stood in front of a camera and were like, Indefatigable.
Indefatigable.
Pretty wonderful.
I love that. The epithets in set 3 have been a joy.
Off the wall.
For the second level, we have Tempered.
Bye.
No.
Oh, who's Tempered? I feel like I saw this. It's Ringer. Is it a CC? Okay, well, okay. Is it a CC with a legend?
It can be a CC. I'll give you that. It can be a CC.
Tempered.
I was just debating if I was going to give you a hint so early. Yeah. Just tapped out instantly.
Well, I'm thinking here, right? Because I would imagine it'd be Yasuo or Yon or something to do with a sword, like a Riven or something like that. But
what is it again?
None of those exist in this set.
Tempered. Sure they do. They absolutely. Characters exactly like that exist in this set.
Pike?
Sword?
Not Pike.
No. Huh.
Just like the most sword guy.
Okay, Yasuo is the most sword guy. Let's be honest. Yasuo is definitely the most sword guy.
That's true.
Most sword guy. Aatrox isn't there.
Kha'Zix?
No, Kha'Zix has no
Teddy.
Sword.
Does he have a sword?
I don't know. It's a bug.
This
you never know.
Yi. This is the orange Yi. He's like a super sword guy.
I wasn't thinking about him for this set. I was thinking about him in set 1 still. So I didn't even like consider him in my brain.
Now this one's the super hard one. Okay, if you thought the last one was difficult, here you go. Ready? Freed.
Freed, like Freed.
Yep, Freed.
Freed.
This This one is not a CC. I will give you that.
Yeah, I just
didn't think so. Freed.
What colors are you guys thinking? What colors?
Who was Chains? Silas isn't in the set.
Could be metaphorically freed.
Yeah, it could be metaphorically freed instead of physically freed. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, it's not a CC. I have no idea what colors I'm thinking. I don't know this set well enough.
All right, give us the color.
It'll be Fury.
Maybe we'll get
it.
Fury. Red.
Freed. So Pike could be, because he could be metaphorically freed from his
not
demise.
A CC.
No CC.
Oh yeah, you said no CC.
It's not Rengar. I know Ringars.
This is a super underlooked champion unit.
Incredible. Super underlooked that you think will be good.
Yeah, I didn't say that part.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah, just making sure.
Check in. Oh man.
Gosh.
I think it has an interesting effect at least.
Super underlooked champion. I give up on this one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
All right. Yeah. This is Xerath.
Freed.
Yeah. This is when he was freed from his sarcophagus.
Yep, that works.
Yep.
Unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
I forgot Xerath even had a unit in this set.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like an iron ballista that has to be on a battlefield, but it's a unit. It's real. It costs
so it's
power.
Caitlyn, like the Caitlyn from set 1.
It's not great, but I want it to be good.
Yeah, I mean Xerath is a cool character. I would also want it to be good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, epithet quiz. Only one this time. Unfortunate for all of us.
That's set 3.
It's a brand new set. We'll get it. Next time we're going 2 for 3, and then we're gonna get an episode of 3 for 3. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. Oh man, perfect. But hey, we got the next segment coming up for you guys, and this one is a very interesting one. We're going to go into our deck lists here. I prepared 2 of them that I wanted to get your guys' opinions on, obviously, and then Gail has one as well to present to the class. That's all of you at home. My first one that I brought here is Lilia. This is a pretty aggressive Lilia build. We unfortunately still do not have the blue chosen champion for Lilia, so we are stuck on the green chosen champion in there. But it's got, I'm just going to go over the deck list briefly for those Spotify listeners. It's double Defy, triple Stupefy, 2 Blast Cone Fae, 3 Desert's Call, 3 of Lilia's signature spell, 3 Plunder Poro, 3 Ravenbloom Student, 2 Smokescreen, 3 Sprite Fountain, which I think is going to be an insane card.
It's so
3 Frostcoat Cub, 2 Heart of Dark Ice, sending you this list, Teddy, that is actually modified to 1 Brutalizer, 1 Heart of Dark Ice, 3 Sprite Call, 3 Sprite Mother, 2 Zillion. What's the upside on Zillion? Go.
Time Mage.
Time. Is it Time Mage? I actually don't know. I can't see.
I have no idea.
I'm sure Gail is correct on that one. And then we've got Singularity as the last 2 cards in the main deck. Battlefield-wise, we are doing both of the new Duskmourn battlefields from the set. The Arena's Greatest. I actually don't think... Oh, this was the list I sent you before I made all these changes, right? Yeah, this looks pretty drastically different, actually.
Oh.
In the sideboard, there's a Defy. There's 2 of the new gear removal card that Blue got, the 2-drop gear removal. 2 Progress Day, 2 Unchecked Power, and a White Flame Protector. So idea for this deck is to be aggressive with Lilia's sprites, go in and conquer battlefields, try to gain tempo that way, maybe hide a Blast Cone Fae, get a sneaky hold point here or there. Frostcoat Cub is really good for making sure your sprites can efficiently trade, as well as being an accelerated unit himself. Just pretty low to the ground, get in there, get the job done, try to out-tempo your opponent. Yeah. What do we think about Lilia as a whole? Because, like I said, this deck list is not the entirely most updated that I've made. There are some changes in there, but I think Lilia as a whole is pretty good. What do you guys think?
I got inspired by Eli to play some Lilia. I took his list. I took it out for a few tries to figure out where Lilia was going. And I originally assumed she would be like control Lilia, but I think I've gone into the aggro Lilia now, especially as more cards have been revealed. We've seen like Sprite Burst, I think, which is like a great finisher for her.
Burst, Sprite.
But
what's the other Sprite? The 5-drop? Sprite.
The Sprite Queen.
Sprite Queen,
there's a new 5. Is Sprite Burst the 5-drop that summons 2?
Yeah. I like that card. That card's great.
Yeah.
I think this deck is only missing one super important interaction, and that is Janna, which is using reaction units in response to your temporary trigger so that you can score a hold point when your opponent can't react with it at all.
Janna is in fact one of the cards that is in the current
there you go.
lists.
Yeah. It's super important tech to know for Lilia, being able to turn your sprites that your opponent has to interact with your sprites now, because if they don't and let you have this reaction trigger to it, you can just win the game. There's nothing that they can really do to interact with it. It's pretty uninteractable. They'd have to have some reaction removal, which, exists now, but at still very limited amounts. So that's a very important concept to keep in mind for Lilia. I think I've cut pretty much all 2-drops now. I just have Scuttle Crabs and the Sprite Fountain. That's my 2-drops now.
This was prior to Scuttle Crab being revealed, was when this deck list was made. I also would be playing Scuttle Crab. I think that card is a very solid 2-drop. I'm probably cutting my Ravenbloom students for the Scuttle Crab. Play 3 of that card, and then Plunder Poro. I really like Plunder Poro, specifically because this deck just has a sneaky amount of power in it.
Yeah,
like it really does just have quite a bit of power costs, but I could be convinced on that one as well. Important standouts for me that I think people might have questions on or might not think are good. I think that Zilean is just an amazing card. I think it's really, really solid in Lilia. All my testing with it, I felt pretty good about it, especially now that we have the Sprite Fountain. Sprite Fountain with Zilean is just an incredible play.
I think the one thing I will, before you move on from Zilean, I will say we are waiting on the rule to confirm that the second Sprite comes in ready. This came up in Games Week earlier, but we're assuming right now that obviously the rules text says it wouldn't, but we are still.
Well, the rules text doesn't say that it
wouldn't, but it doesn't say anything about it.
Correct.
So we're in theory, and I believe I saw somewhere that we're going to have when we get the rules update on Monday. I believe that's when it's coming.
Yeah. The 30th.
We will have hopefully something saying that is how.
I actually have a headcanon on how this will be ruled. I think it will be ruled that they come in ready because they put Zilean as a promo alongside Lilia for the Lilia champion.
But because it'll work with reflection tokens.
It could, right, exactly. But I don't think that it would. I don't think that you'd put it with the Lilia package if it wouldn't work for Lilia. You know what I mean? Like that just seems weird to me. So I am assuming that it will work that way because Zilean's wording is very weird, but it says a copy of. So the question is if the copy of copies the traits of the original copy in it being ready, or if it doesn't. So we'll see on Monday for that one for sure. But I like Lilia a lot. My list looks a little bit different than this one that we're presenting, but I think that this is a good baseline to go off of for sure. Figure out what you want to do. Gail, in your testing, you said getting over big units was a bit of a problem. So you've seen this specific list did Unchecked Power and White Flame Protector in the sideboard. I know you like maining some of that to get through those bigger units. But I think the deck concept's really good. I would currently consider Lilia to be probably low A tier-ish deck, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. And I will say, I've also been playing Lilia. I think that's going to be my main list. I've played 2 different versions. I've played more of like a pumpy one with some other spells. I'm kind of off that now. I don't think we were talking about this before the show. I think Discipline's good, but not in this. It's only really good in Aurelia. Like it's fine. Like the one thing that this deck kind of can struggle with is draw. But also like you have access to a 3-met unit every turn. So that's always great. And I think, like you said, Eli, Zilean's great. I definitely want to test out Sprite Burst. I think that's going to be a very good card.
I agree. I think it's going to be awesome.
I want to see what this freaking blue chosen champion is too. Because we need something to replace this green one with.
I might honestly, now that we have Sprite Burst, I might do 2 Sprite called 2 Sprite Burst as my like split for that. I'm not entirely sure yet. One thing I did want to note though is a lot of people have been talking about the 3-mana blue spell that has been revealed being better than Smokescreen, that does the same effect as Smokescreen plus Predict. And I think that is a tad bit short-sighted on why Smokescreen is as good as it is. So leaving 3 up versus leaving 2 up at the end of a turn means drastically different things to a lot of players. So if you're leaving 3 up in this deck, for example, they're going to play around like what? Defy, Stupefy, or Lilia Counterspell plus Defy or Stupefy or something like that. the 3-mana card, as soon as they see that you're playing that card, they're going to be playing around it every single time you leave 3 mana open. Smokescreen is a little bit more modal because it interacts differently with, if I have 2 mana open, I could have the Lilia counterspell, I could have Defy, I could have Stupefy, I could have Smokescreen. Like there's more options for me to have. And I think that is pretty valid when considering Smokescreen and that card side by side.
And if opponent goes through their turn, when you have 3 up, expecting to play around Smoke Defy, and then you play Eclipse, they just win the game.
Yeah,
because they've made their move expecting to have to play around a second interaction, and without needing that second interaction, that means they can generally just steamroll over.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I completely agree with that point. All right, next deck list. Feeling pretty good on Lilia. Oh, this is another one for me. I did not think I was going to be a green player in this game at all, but it turns out that two of the decks I want to play next set are both green decks. This one at least has my Bastion color of yellow, my favorite. Ivern is pretty awesome as a deck. Very cool deck concept. Go through the deck list real quick. We've got 1 yellow Ivern in the chosen champion zone here and 1 yellow Ivern in the main deck. They are both the Ivern that will allow you to select a tag between bird, cat, poro, and dog. And then when you have all of those tags on the board, you will score twice, essentially, on the conquer or on the hold. Either way. You have 2 Defy, 3 Friendship, which is just one of my favorite cards that has been revealed this set so far. I think this card is awesome. 3 Hidden Blade, 3 of the 2-drop cat. What's the name of that one? It's
Mauser.
Mutated Mauser.
Mutated Mauser. There you go. 3 Mutated Mauser, 2 Soaring Scouts, 3 Stalwart Poro, 2 Trusty Ramhounds. Shout out, Gale. I know you like that one. 3 of the Resurrect spell that yellow got for 1 power. Undying Loyalty. Yep. 3 Crimson Pigeons, 3 Loyal Poro, 2 Shen, 2 what's this 4-drop cat called?
Frisky Hunter.
Thank you. 2 Frisky Hunter, 3 Stalking Wolf, 2 Green Ivern.
What's his epithet?
Teddy?
I'm looking at the deck list right now, so I have it. I'm looking at it, so I wasn't gonna.
You said nurtured?
Nurturer.
I think. Nurturer. I got you. What's this other dog called? This one just came out recently. Doghound? Starhound. That's an interesting one to me. 1 copy of Starhound and then 1 copy of Daisy, which is a bit of a interesting spot for me. I don't know if I'm actually going to end up running Daisy or not, but I'm going to try her out for sure. Then
it's
our
battlefield signature unit. I will say that.
It is not our first.
We had Tibbers.
Tibber. Oh yeah. Well, okay.
Tibbers just never saw play, so you wouldn't even
remember
that's why it was Annie's signature. You've got an Aspirant's Climb, which is awesome in Ivern. You've got a Rockfall Path, and you've got a Spires of Helia. Is that what that's called?
Vaults of Helia.
Vaults of Helia. And you've got the Vaults of Helia. Vaults of Helia, for those who do not know yet, is a battlefield that says when you hold here, your units cost 1 more. Your non-token units cost 1 more energy for those units to be played. So conceptually with Ivern, we're playing battlefields that could have negative connotations for us that never will, because our Ivern is going to brush them when we need to brush them. And it will not matter that they have those negatives for us. So essentially our opponent's playing to 9 on Aspirants. We're pretty much playing to 8 on Aspirants. Rockfall Path, they can't play their units, but when we brush it, we can certainly play our units there, no problem. And same thing with Helia. We don't ever hold there because we're going to hold on a brush. We're not going to hold on Helia. So we're never going to have to pay more for our units, and they will. Sideboard wise, we got 2 copies of Not So Fast, 2 copies of Salvage, 2 copies of the new 3 energy stun spell. I wanted to try this one out. I was pretty interested in it. Might not end up making the final deck list, but I thought that 3 energy when I have Shens in the main board is a good enough mix up because it can also be hidden as well. And then we've got a Blitzcrank, which is a bit
ambitious,
but I definitely wanted to try it because I've been trying to make this card work since set 1, since it got revealed. I just love it. And then we've got the 2nd copy of Daisy. So overall, probably this Blitzcrank is just going to turn into both copies of Daisy being in the sideboard, most likely. And then most likely this 3 energy spell could become something else if it does not pan out the way I want it to. But really, really liking Ivern. Got a 7/5 yellow-green rune split on this deck. What do we think, guys?
I think we're missing some top end. I think we're missing.
What do you mean top end?
I think we're missing things like Bile Maw.
No.
And
top ends. We're killing them. They're dead already. By the time I'm playing Biomod, they're
need a little bit of top ends. I also would love to see Alpha Wild Claw in this deck.
I hate that card.
Oh my!
I tried it. I did not like it at all.
You didn't like Yumi either.
No, Yumi's also terrible.
Yumi also dies.
Yeah, Yumi's also bad. Alpha Wild Claw. That's
Alpha Wild Claw and Biomod are both good cards.
Yeah.
I just do not like them in this because I want to be more aggressive and more push them in.
You guys being an aggro player next set.
Next set.
What do you mean?
Victor's an aggro deck.
I've always been an aggro. That's never changed here.
Yeah,
I guess more aggro. I don't know. If
I will say more aggro for sure because they gave me more aggressive options this set than I had last set. But I definitely am interested in this one. I think Shen is a really cool tech in this deck. Personally, it mixes up your Stalking Wolf pretty efficiently, which is nice. Most of the time they're going to play around your Stalking Wolf because this card is actually overperformed for me incredibly. It almost always is incredible when I get to play it. And so Shen being a mix-up for it means that I can only hold up 3. They think that they don't need to play around the ambush unit, and then Shen comes down instead and has tank to be able to keep all of my birds and poros and cats and dogs alive, which is pretty relevant in a lot of circumstances. But yeah, really, really fun deck. Would heavily recommend playing it. I know, Gail, you wanted to build it more mid-rangey with a bit more value in the top end of it as well. And I think that's cool that these decks have that kind of modality to them. And
I like,
you can build them
Stalking Wolf to tag fix too.
Oh,
you can play the wolf in response to the Ivern trigger when he
holds,
when you already have the runes up. So like you awaken first and then you get your beginning holds. So you can play the wolf in response to this trigger pretty much every time to try and get like a sneaky point out that the opponent wasn't accounting for because now they have a dog on the board.
Definitely. Do you want to hear the worst thing I've ever seen in my life that happened? My opponent was playing Renata.
Yeah.
Right? I'm playing Ivern. They hostile takeovered my Ivern, and then they Stalking Wolf killed it and played a Stalking Wolf to their board because they were playing Soaring Scouts and Poros in their deck, so they were just playing Stalking Wolf. And I was like, "That's the worst thing that's ever happened to me this entire game." But cool interaction. I'm glad that we're looking at more like tribal decks and getting more tagged decks. I really enjoy those in other games. I know they're pretty big fan favorites too. And in games like Magic, Merfolk is always going to be a hit. Like a lot of their core tribes, people just love the decks. So I'm sure that Ivern will have a similar feel for a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely think obviously we have like other stuff. Like we have dragons that is another tribal that's starting to see some more support. So I agree. I think seeing more tribal is definitely fun. But moving on to our last deck list to talk about. Gail.
This is awesome. Rengar. And this is sort of like the no-nonsense version of Rengar, right? We're not really doing anything cute with this deck. We're playing the efficient guys. We're doing the good stuff, okay? Minus one card that I added because I just saw it released. I haven't even played with the card, but we'll get there. So this deck list is an aggressive style. We're going to gain points as fast as possible and then scam out points of the signature spell. The deck list, we are playing the orange Rengar in the Chosen Champion, Trophy Hunter. We have 2 Rengar Pouncings in the deck, 3 Noxus Hopefuls, 3 First Mates, 3 Pookies, Pit Rookies, 3 Gem Jammers, 3 Infernas.
That card's awesome.
3 Darius, 3 Kaisa, 2 Pike Dockside Butchers, 2 Nidalee Catforms, and then 1 of this Arachnoid. I don't remember what this card is called. It literally came out, and I was like, I'm putting this in the deck because I like it.
Horror.
No, Arachnoid Horror. Yes. It literally just came out, and I'm like, I don't care. It's going in. I want to see what it does. It's like a Dead Bloom that gives everything Dead Bloom.
And
I'm like,
Hunt
sick.
Too. But it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in this.
You don't care about the Hunt.
That's fair.
And then we have
Dead Bloom that gives other things Dead Bloom is very, very
I was
cool.
like, okay, I gotta try it. And then our suite of interaction is pretty low for most decks. We have 3 challenge, 3 of the signature spell, 2 Vault Breakers, and 3 Punch Firsts. Our battlefield suite includes Emperor's Dais. I put in Spa Springs and Arena's Greatest. Spa Springs is a bit of a cook
Star Spring.
It's a spa spring. It's spa.
What does that card do, Gale? Enlighten me.
When you play a unit to that battlefield, you may move another unit there back to base.
Oh, that's cool. No,
so we can use this with our ambush units to sort of protect our other one. So if we're holding up something like our Rengar Trophy Hunter in CC, which sometimes we do, we can play that when they attack the battlefield and move back our Inferna that was sitting there that is no longer needed, would just die for free, just to get this nice bit of tempo in.
Yeah. I'm just happy we're not playing beans, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
beans they're just slow. We're winning the game before we need the card draw, really. And for our card draw, we have things like Emperor's Dais, which doesn't read card draw, but it is basically card draw. Getting our units back to our hand is basically exactly what we're doing. And we're just ending the game before anything really matters. The signature spell is there to mostly scam out points. If we're not getting a point with that on our opponent's turn, we're playing the card wrong, probably. Abusing the fact that it's reaction to find all these niche little trigger moments to use it at the very last moment on our opponent's turn when they are most vulnerable is key to making this deck work.
It's such a good card.
Yeah, the Vault Breakers here are also just an amazing piece to do this with. An amazing card if you have Darius in the deck, just super efficient at getting him to gank across and play the game. The card that I'm least excited about in this deck list is probably the Pike Dockside Butchers. It adds a hidden option, but we only have one hidden option in the full deck, so it makes it pretty, telegraphed. Just having a hidden card in this deck is good, though, because then we can flip it on the opponent's turn and get the +1 with Rengar onto a different battlefield to add a nice amount of tricks. But generally, this deck is no nonsense. We're not doing Bryn here crazy things just because we don't need to. Just play the good, efficient, statted units and get the game over with.
Yeah, I really like this deck a lot. I think that this is an example of a high skill cap aggro deck, which is something that I think is very relevant in games. There's usually like two pools of aggro decks. So there's the aggro decks that are like new player friendly, very efficient, usually just play on curve. And in other games, it's called going face. In this game, it's just conquering battlefields every turn. You want to double conquer every single turn, or hold on a battlefield every turn and then conquer the other one. But this is a example of a aggro deck that is a lot harder to play efficiently because you need to understand your opponent's deck. You need to understand your opponent's interaction points and when they are going to use triggers or when they can avoid using triggers. So that in and of itself is a big skill for a deck like this. And it makes me really happy that we see both breadths of aggro in the game currently. Those that are just a little bit more straightforward where newer players can pick them up. And then these where it's like, oh man, you got to play really efficiently and really well. And it's very rewarding for the player.
Yeah, for sure. I've used the Rengar Sig in response to like the Pike Legend ability when they're bouncing it off the battlefield, so I can play it to that battlefield when their guy is gone. So like an Inferna is just taking the battlefield for basically free because they already left.
Really cool interactions.
Yeah, I definitely think I thought something. I don't have that thought anymore. What was I gonna say? Oh gosh, this is gonna bug me now. What was I gonna say?
We're talking about aggro, right? We're
talking about
I know that different breadths of aggro, different styles of aggro, and how.
No, that's not what it was. It was what you were talking. That's what you were talking about before, Gil said it. Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, that thought's gone.
All right, that's fine.
Oh wait, I got it back. I think the interaction points is what I was thinking about. I don't know kind of what tier this deck will be at. Gale, do you have an estimate on that?
I think this is higher than Lilia. Shots fired at Lilia.
I think Lilia is unplayable because Vex exists. Personally, but
Rengar's in that same pool, to be fair.
So. We'll talk about Vex soon. We'll get there. But I think if Rengar is seeing any amount of play, you just have to be. I mean, you obviously have to be wary of what your opponent's deck is trying to do to you. But if you are, whenever you do come across a Rengar, just be very wary of your trigger points, and if you're going to give an opponent, especially late in the game, an ability to thrill of the hunt to steal those points like Gale was talking about.
That's a really big skill for this game. That's one of the things that I have liked about it thus far is that you are able to play an entire turn without ever opening a trigger window for your opponent, and knowing when to do that versus when to know that you have to open a trigger window to actually progress your game state. That's a big skill, and I like it a lot about this game.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are the three lists. Kind of just initial thoughts on what we are looking to do. So we are going to move on. We are going to speed run these new legend packages, kind of finish off the ones that weren't finished last week. We're going to talk about Lilia because we don't have, obviously, the blue one yet, and we talked about the other 3 last week. But Vi, the only new Vi card we got was Vi Peacekeeper. This is the yellow champion unit. It has ambush, and when I attack, stun an enemy unit. Here, I don't know if it's not bad, but obviously the stun is great. But I'm curious, your guys' thoughts?
I see a lot of experimentation with Vi, and none of it gets anywhere.
Nope.
There's a lot of people interested in playing this Vi deck. I see it. I see conversations about it. I see people trying to build it, and every deck I see just isn't doing anything. Like I don't see the vision for it. I've seen red Vi in CC. I've seen blue or yellow Vi in CC. I've seen destructive in CC. Of the 3, I think the yellow is probably the best, just because it's doing the more unfair things. But yeah, generally just a weak deck.
Why not great?
I have tried to craft every single yellow deck in the game, and I have not touched Vi.
And you never will.
Correct.
Unless something great. Moving on.
It does not do it for me. I think it's just it kind of has an identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and until that's solved, I don't think the deck is really going to be that viable.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Kha'Zix, we again got the purple, the rare this week. 4 cost, 1 power, 4 might. I guess I never said the Vi was 5 costs for power and 5 might. But that Kha'Zix is Kha'Zix in the Void, mutating horror as ambush. When I attack or defend, if an enemy unit is alone here, give me +2 this turn and gain 2 XP. Obviously, these are doing different things. I'm generally, if I was ever to play Kha'Zix, I think I would mess around with both in the CC, just because obviously getting this out on 4, being able to ambush on 4 is not bad, but you're also missing a turn if you're doing that. So you can kind of just hold this up for whenever, like if something tries to conquer alone, you can just pop this in and say no. And like if you you get the +2 and you get the 2 XP without even having to like conquer or whatever. So, or hold, whatever you want to do. So I don't mind the purple one, actually.
I think the purple is definitely the CC of the deck. I think it's just doing more things. I do think looking at ambush is probably the bait here. I think this keyword in general is not that impressive. It has some moments where it's mattering, but generally, even just playing this to base at turn 2 is very viable.
Yeah,
I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen from Kha'Zix so far. He was one that I had like as an underrated good legend, and so far I'm being proven correct by that. I've seen people cooking this one. It's looking really good for him.
Yeah.
I'm not so sold on this one, to be totally honest with you. only because most champions that we've seen so far, most legends, have one chosen champion option that does not cost power for a lot of them. Both chosen champion units costing power in this circumstance is actually, I think, a pretty big hindrance to the deck. And it kind of restricts your deck building in a way that some other decks might not be restricted. For example, Vex, that we're about to look at a couple slides from now, has the opposite of this problem, where her chosen champion has no power cost and absolutely should have a power cost attached to it. And so I think that is a big hindrance to a deck like this. And in a long tournament setting, that kind of hindrance can be exposed in a lot more ways than, say, you're going to locals, playing 4 matches. It's not going to come up that much. It's fine.
Yeah. Going
to like a 12-round tournament, that gets exposed a lot easier, especially in those later rounds. So I'm not as sold on Kha'Zix, but I think that Kha'Zix's concept and what they're going for is really cool. And I think that Void Assault as a card is also really cracked. It's really cracked. It's really cool. I think the ambush, like you were saying, Gale, it doesn't really matter at all. But ambush as a keyword, at least if you're not playing this Kha'Zix on turn 2, it creates a play pattern that your opponent has to play around, which is at least something valuable. I don't know where I would value that, but it's something. But yeah, I think the Kha'Zix is a good deck. I just don't think it's going to break into that top echelon of decks.
Still better than Lilia.
I don't know if it's better than Lilia. I'm going to hold off on that one. If Vex is as present in the meta as I think it will be, I think that Lilia is actually an unplayable deck.
100%.
Which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
we'll get there.
We have a LeBlanc. The only new LeBlanc card we got, I believe, was the, again, rare champion unit. 3 cost, 1 power, 3 might. Has Noxus as a key, along with LeBlanc, obviously. Fragmented, Assault, 1, and then Death Knell, draw 1. If it's your beginning phase, draw 2 instead. So obviously, with this whole deck trying to make a bunch of temporary units, you're trying to draw a bunch. Gale, you've been playing LeBlanc. I'll let you kind of talk about this one.
Yeah, both of these CCs are super viable depending on the type of deck you're playing. There's been a lot of play with like Karthus LeBlanc, which can make use of LeBlanc Fragmented as well, just to be like a fallback plan if you don't find any of your other better sort of engine defining cards like Soaring Scout and Sentry. So having this LeBlanc Fragmented there is really good. It's a strong effect. Generally, you're not going to get the +2 cards out of it because your opponent's just going to kill it, and that's fine too. They kill it, and you get the Death Knell, and it's fine. Very solid engine card, something that helps to progress that version of the deck. I'm not personally sold on that version of the deck, and even some people are playing that deck and running LeBlanc everywhere at once in the CC with that to sort of have a secondary game plan.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sold on that one either. I think if you're running the Death Knell package, you should run part of your engine in the CC. That just makes sense to me. But generally, I mean, she has solid champions. I'm slowly getting less about LeBlanc as we get further and further in the set. I think her options are just becoming more and more limited as we find more to do with the set, and she's just really not keeping up, I think.
Yeah.
She also has like pretty distinct weaknesses that I think the better players are going to be able to exploit in both deck building and gameplay. If you are not as experienced of a player and you go against a LeBlanc and you make an early misplay, you are going to be so incredibly punished for that misplay that it's not even comparable, right?
Yeah.
Like, once LeBlanc gets going, the deck feels incredible on the person playing LeBlanc side, and like almost an insurmountable mountain if you don't have the correct cards in your deck on the other side.
For sure.
So the real way to get through LeBlanc is to stop LeBlanc from getting going in the first place, or by playing wide sweepers that will remove everything at once, similar to unchecked power, similar to things like that, where it just removes all of their problems, which I know some LeBlanc players are teching against with things like Victor Leader to remake their boards and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But that's beside the point. I think LeBlanc is a strong deck. I'm with you on that one, Gale. Don't think it's the best deck, and I think that we are going to see good players excel against LeBlanc and worse players kind of get stomped by LeBlanc, which in my opinion is not really a fun deck to have in the game on that front, because new player stomper decks are oftentimes very detrimental to local communities.
For sure.
And this is kind of the direction I see this deck going, but we'll see if it actually gets there, because if people are like, okay, blue's the best deck, I can just uncheck power every single time, it's fine, or there's other circumstances where like, oh, LeBlanc just can't get started because I'm going to be able to out tempo her in the early game, or like something like that,
for sure,
totally fine. But we'll just have to wait and see how the meta evolves. But just from my little bit of experience with LeBlanc, like the deck, I think it's a really cool deck. I think it is probably going to be one of the problem decks in the early days of the meta for a lot of local communities. But we'll see how it goes.
I will say the funny thing that I saw come out of this whole LeBlanc thing was her overnumbered, and people were comparing it to the Subservience Megan Fox robot movie. And that was the most hilarious thing because no one really understands the concept of an inspiration.
I think it's just an homage to the art, to be honest.
No, it is. It generally is. It's just like the movie poster of everything else looking forward and then the one character looking off to the side. That's all it is, but I thought that was funny. Moving on, we're not there yet. We're on Poppy. I believe we got both champion units this week. The first one is a 5 energy, 5 might unit. Poppy, Demacia, and Yordle. Poppy Paragon has Deflect, and when you play me, if an opponent's score is within 3 points of the victory score, ready me and gain 3 XP. So obviously a nice little late game bomb there. I don't know if I want to call it bomb, but still 5/5 late in the game. I don't know. I use bomb loosely. Moving on.
Bomb in the draft sense.
Yes, true. And then you have Poppy, Defender of the Meek, same keywords, 6 energy, 1 power, 5 might. You may spend 3 XPs and additional cost to play me. If you do, I cost 3 less. Has ambush and tank. I don't really know what I think about Poppy. I really don't.
Sucks. Like one of the most bland, boring designed legend packages we have ever seen. It's just abysmally tasteless.
They really like to hate on orange yellow sometimes.
They do hate on orange yellow. I agree with that completely.
Set's good.
Set's sick.
Set's great.
Set is a sick fantasy.
But then you look at Garen and Poppy, and you're just like, what's going on here?
Well, that's Proving Grounds. They didn't love Proving Grounds.
Annie?
We love Proving Grounds. They did not.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know, man. Just these Poppy units, like,
not doing much.
Even if you're a Poppy main in League, I don't see you playing this champion long term. Like, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't hit for me. It feels like they just tacked effects on these cards, and didn't really explore the power fantasy of Poppy. I would really expect her to have a stun or something that's like more akin to her kit. Keeper's Verdict is good. Yeah. I think that the signature spell design is good for Poppy. But I really would have liked her to restrict movement somehow.
Vex? Maybe we could have given her the Vex.
All right. Well, Vex also restricts movement.
Oh, Vex is the last one we have. I kept it to last. I didn't even know the order.
That's crazy. But yeah, Poppy. I experimented. Like I said, I experimented with every yellow deck but Vi, but not really on my radar for a deck that's going to do anything.
Mm-hmm. I believe all we have here is Pike Returned, which is the rare champion unit. Again, got a lot of the rare ones this week. Besides Lilia, which we'll probably get tomorrow, but still, God, I hope so. I'm so annoying.
Lilia just says silence enemy chosen champion. Perfect.
Ooh, beautiful. Pike has
to sleep.
3 energy, 3 might, hidden, and backline. Obviously, that's a new keyword. I must be assigned combat damage last. And once each turn, when an enemy unit dies while I'm in a battlefield, play a gold year token exhausted, and it just has the gold reminder text on there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't mind this one actually, because you can get it on 3, but you can also get the other one on 3, but you have 1 more might here. But you can so I think there's conversation for both in the CC spot, depending on what you want to do. But I also think Dockside Butcher is a better card in both have hidden, but I still think Dockside Butcher is a better card in the deck than Returned.
Yeah, I think they're both just like super similar. It's kind of odd to have these champions that are fitting the same playstyle. Like they're both hiddens and they're both kind of doing the same thing hidden. Like I guess one's trying to be more aggressive and one's trying to be more resource oriented, but Pike's kind of doing all of that at once anyway. So these are sort of not filling a very good niche. We did get the signature spell for Pike this week though.
Oh, we did. That's true.
Yeah.
It's 4 energy and a power. Kill a unit at a battlefield. Then if it had 3 might or less, you may play this from your trash for power.
Which this one already has errata for.
Death from below.
This is a reflexive trigger.
Yes.
So each time you would play it, it makes another reflexive trigger to play it again, so you can always react and know the target of the next trigger.
Yeah. Also importantly, you can react and reduce the might of your opponent's card that you are going to be killing with Death from Below.
Yeah, I can totally do that in red purple.
Yep.
I definitely have ways to do that.
Currently, we really do not. However, in the future, we might have ways to do so.
You could also like gust you as the player.
Yeah.
You could like gust your guy away or buff it above the marker so they can't recast it. So that's like some interesting things you can do with it. But yeah.
Also importantly, you can kill your own units with Death from Below. So you can keep the chain going. Right, so you kill one of their units, one of your units, one of their units, one of your units, to continually play the card. If there is ever a situation where you want to proc a Death Knell, for example, which red does have a couple of at this point, you can kill your own Ferris Forerunner, for example, if you think that pushing in the 2/3 mites the turn afterward would be relevant. Rather than having the Ferris sit at the battlefield for like rebuke fodder or something like that. So it's not a application I think we're going to see a lot of this set, but it is something to note on the card. It does give it a bit more flexibility than it appears at first glance.
Yeah.
And finally, what we've all been waiting for, we officially have the Vex that no one likes, that everyone's up in arms about. I will say we also don't have the green one yet for this. The purple one I still have in here, but we still don't have the green rare. But we do have Vex, Apathetic, Shadow Isles, and Yordle, 4 might for 4 energy, no power cost, which we talked about earlier. Is probably deserved one, probably should have had one. Has Deflect, which is just insane. But then here's the ability. When an opponent plays a unit while I'm at a battlefield, it'll stun it. They can't move it this turn. Like, it just shuts off Lilia and any accelerate unit out of the gate. It's just, if Vex sees any play, which I 100% see, it will. Green-purple is a great color combo. We've already kind of, the community's already kind of like, if Called Shot gets banned, Aurelia is just going to get better because it doesn't have to deal with that. And like Miracle, whatever, it just really gets better. And Vex will also be in that same echelon. So Eli, I'll let you go on your rant. You've been waiting to go on this entire episode for the last hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, this one steamed me a bit. This Vex Apathetic definitely steamed me. She might be apathetic, but I certainly am not to this situation that she has brought to us here. Deflect on this champion does not need to exist. It is a 4 energy, 4 might on rate unit with an excellent effect. Deflect does not need to be on this champion. You should be able to interact with this without paying an extra power. You should be able to kill this. Let's get that out of the gate right now. That just makes no sense. They literally gave Deflect 0 energy budget on this card. That makes no sense. The actual effect of the card, moving down to the relevant text. When an opponent plays a unit while I'm at a battlefield, stun it. That is not a once per turn effect. That is an effect that will affect every single unit that is played while Vex is at a battlefield by the opponent. Now, we talked about Bryngear earlier in the ban section, right? And the fact that I really am opposed to floodgates in games. And I think that floodgates create a design space that is not really healthy for games ecosystems. Vex is like the ultimate floodgate against like three to 4 decks that actually just can't play the game while you have Vex on the board. Legitimately cannot play while there's a Vex on the board, and doesn't have a way to interact with the Vex in a meaningful enough way to get it off of the board.
And if they do, they have to pay extra for it. Even if they do have,
they have to pay extra for it. And you're in purple that has like 3 counter spells now.
Yeah, we got to do purple to counter spell,
and a bunch of different ways to interact because you're also in green. So, like putting it in the actual Vex deck, this unit is the most insane chosen champion I think we have in the game so far. I would go as far as to say I think this is an S tier chosen champion, like right next to where I would put Draven. I think that both of those cards are very similar in their power level. But I think that the problem with Vex is that purple is such a good color already and will have such a wide meta representation that this card is just going to exist as the 4-drop in most purple decks. So it's not just a problem with Vex playing Vex Gloomist, playing Vex Apathetic in the Chosen Champion zone. The floodgate exists against my deck in every single purple deck that could possibly exist in the game, in between the main and the side. And I think that most of the decks are going to main this card because it's just insane. If they ever have any kind of battlefield pressure or want to hold it all, the Vex is going in the deck. And sometimes, even when they don't want to, just pushing it up turn 3 is a good enough play against something like an accelerated Endarius or a Rengar pouncing or anything like that. It is just absurd to me that this card was printed when it is so powerful in its play pattern and in the best color in the game currently. This should have been the green unit 100%. I don't know why this was not. If they were going to do this, it should have been the green Vex.
If it makes you feel any better, well, it's not going to. But I thought about putting this in aggro Irelia.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Where like my
hand,
super aggressive deck.
Vex.
Yeah.
Vex on top of the fucking... Sorry. Vex on top of the deckhand.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of, too. It's just like, I just put up the deckhand. They try not to interact with it. That turn, I might just put a Vex on top. And
then
like,
you have Defy up. You have Defy Man up, too. It's just like, oh, man. This is going to be... So I don't usually go on, like, heavy rants like this. When this card was revealed, I about had an aneurysm. I was just looking at it and was like, there is no way that this card should exist in its current state. Now, talking about the package as a whole, the rest of Vex is also, I think, going to be powerful. It has impressed me more than I originally thought. with just how it kind of interacts. The drawing cards is very good on the hold, because it's obviously not going to be nearly as bad as Draven is or anything like that, which is a good thing. I think this is how you should design a legend ability like this. Harder requirement to meet in holding, and the reward of drawing a card and exhausting. Totally fine. However, green purple is such a good color combination that this deck has really kind of pushed itself to the forefront in a lot of the testing that I've been doing. And Shadow is an excellent signature unit, awesome signature unit. And the rest of the deck just seems very, very powerful with the amount of interaction that purple has. So tacking this Vex Apathetic onto a already good deck core that was already performing pretty well is a very big problem in my eyes. Teddy and Gale, how do you feel about it?
I think this card it's very strong against the decks that it's strong against, but unlike Draven, it's not universally powerful.
Yes.
Like, against Irelia, this card does literally nothing, because the unit's already on the board, right? The thing that she wants to move around has already been there. There's nothing that's changing that. So this card looks scary if you're playing very specific strategies. Like, it's single-handedly taking me off of Rengar. I was enjoying Rengar, and now I'm like, I have no desire to play Rengar if I can ever match into this. It's just not worth my sanity.
Same thing,
and that's the problem,
exactly
really.
The same thing.
It has nothing to do with really even the strength of the card. It's like, I am single-handedly don't want to play two legends that I was pretty interested in now, because I am going to have zero fun if I do it. And that is Lilia and Rengar are just like entirely blocked out from playing the game from these two. Their entire archetypes are just built on whatever this counters.
Yeah.
So
just like you said, putting this in purple was just, I think, a poor choice. Like, if this was green, I'd be fine with it. I'd be totally okay. It might be played in some green decks here or there, but putting it with the best color in the game already, and then you put it in a deck, obviously, that has access to so many good cards. We have new purple counterspell. We already have other counterspells in green, and all of that can then deal with it trying to be removed. Like, I'm thinking just like Foff, Rebuke, anything like that. It's not going to move, more or less. You have to go into it. And then it's just like, it's just cutting off Lily, it's cutting off Rengar, it's cutting off anything.
When you go into it, they have Shadow on the battlefield.
Exactly.
So good luck.
And so it's just, I don't know. And I think this deck will ultimately be a hold deck, because you have access to Sona, you have access to the green Aria if you want to play it. So I think this will be a smack stuff down on a battlefield and say, come get me. And obviously you can draw, you can score points off of that. Has access to Spell Songer, so you attach a Spell Songer onto us. Like, it has a lot of different things here. And I think Vex is going to be a very good deck at the end of the day. Like, it has just such good cards. Go ahead, Ela.
This is the exact deck that I was worried about existing when they printed Abandon. I went on a little bit of a tirade in our community Discord about Abandon being printed as well when that card got revealed. And this is the exact kind of deck I was scared of Abandon being in, where you can hold battlefields, you're green, so you can play Sona, and then you have Abandon. The threat of Abandon in this deck is just absurd. So even if you have the slight modicum of hope of paying the extra power cost on a Singularity to kill this creature that exists on the other side, and maybe a Sona as well, they just abandon my Singularity, and the game is over on the spot. There's no counterplay and nothing I can do about it. So little bit of a tirade. I'm overblowing it a little bit for the listeners, like, to be sure. Like,
only a little bit, though.
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Only a little bit. And it is specifically because, like, every strategy that I like to play is going to get absolutely destroyed by this deck. Like, I have a positive win rate into every deck from the new format outside of this deck. I have a negative win rate into this deck with everything I've been testing. I just cannot figure out how to beat this thing with the kind of strategies that I like to play. And so for me, this is like top tier degeneracy, the deck. But for other players, if you enjoyed playing Ahri, this is an easy port for you. You're really going to enjoy playing Vex.
Now imagine if it had the Miracle package.
No.
All right. Well, we appreciate everyone listening. That was a nice, long, and juicy episode. A lot to talk about. We are hopefully going to have a lot more news next week, resulting in whatever our bans are. Also, we'll have the entire set. So next week, we're actually going to start talking about like specific cards that are outside of these legends and champions and decks. We've obviously talked about some cards in these decks, but talking about more things that we are liking that will go into these decks. But Gail, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on YouTube with Gale Wins Riftbound or Twitter, Gale Wins with 2 S's.
Gale Wins. And Eli?
Battle tested TCG wherever you would like to look. Everything should be updated now from my old 8-year-old username. I made it when I was 8. It was very fun, but we're all updated at this point. What about you, Teddy?
You can find me at Limited Teddy anywhere. You can find us SM Riftbound on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Super Mega Riftbound on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. YouTube. And we will see you guys next week for episode 17. Gail, Eli, it was a pleasure talking to you guys, and see you guys next week.
See you guys.